back. Freedom Path Investors Podcast. We've got a special treat today. Camron Cathcart, I'd say you're one of the rising stars in the St. Louis market, man. Fastest rising stars.
That is not true.
Scoot a little bit.
Scoot up. Oh, okay. All right, I can do that.
So, yeah, Camron, you just started in real estate, what, a year ago?
We bought our first property a year and a half ago. It was, I want to say, end of September in 2019. So
But not long before that, like, you had no interest in real estate investing or really had thought about it much? Or?
I had interest.
Okay.
I had never done it before, had no idea what to do. Didn't know that growing, I didn't know what wholesaling was. I didn't know what BRRRRing was. I didn't know anything about it up until about a year and a half ago.
So I think this is going to be a great show for anybody that's new, starting out. Camron's done so much in a short time. Even if you're a seasoned investor, like, this guy is killing it. So I'm sure you can pick up some tips from him. So
yeah.
So what were you doing a year and a half ago before you got into the real estate?
So I've been a pastor actually for the last 8 years. So did that and lived in Colorado.
Yeah.
So I was a missionary down in Belize for about actually that was a short stint. It was less than a year, and I was a full-time pastor at a church out in Colorado. And then from there, my wife and I, we were like, hey, we wanted to get involved in real estate. Also, I had a cool opportunity to church out here. And this is where I'm from. We had kids, wanted to be back closer to parents. So we picked up and we moved out here in the summer of 2019.
So the church originally brought you back here?
Yeah. I had a great opportunity. The church my dad is a lead pastor at, had a cool opportunity there, and still love the church and wanted to be a part of that. And so came back for that. But also at the same time, I knew that I loved real estate and had a heart for real estate, and was really passionate about real estate, just didn't know anything about it.
Where'd that passion for real estate come from?
So it came from, I actually remember it specifically. I listened probably back in 2015. I listened to a podcast, a Bigger Pockets podcast.
Yeah.
And he explained, just the power of real estate. And I didn't know what he was saying other than the fact that, he had made a lot of money and was able to almost retire off of real estate. And so, I'm like, that's amazing. All right. So I was passionate. And then, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad about, making your assets work for you. And so, was always really interested in it, of how can I leverage the money that I have to make more money.
So it was something you were studying for a while.
Yes.
Found an opportunity.
But I didn't know about the BRRRR. The BRRRR. Yeah. So that's how we've, for the rental property side of our business, that's how we have done all of our properties. And honestly, I thought I was the kind of the old school method of, hey, when we moved back here, I knew I wanted to get in real estate, but it was like, I'm going to buy one house a year for the next 10 years. And I'm going to save up 20% down to put on that house. And I'm going to do that over the next 10 years. And I'm going to spend the next 20 years paying them off. And when I'm, 65 years old, I'm going to have 10 houses that are paid off in cash.
That's a common theme I hear from so many people. That's their plan. Well, yeah, I'm going to get 10 or 20 houses. Well, why is that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to save up 20 grand a year and go do a down payment. Once you discover the BRRRR method, it kind of blows your mind.
Yeah, you can get your 10 to 20 house portfolio in like a couple of years, 3 years. Yeah.
Well,
it blew my mind. I mean, it feels like stealing money sometimes. It's like, this shouldn't be legal.
How does that square out with your pastor?
Yeah. Well, it is legal. So
yeah, it is legal. Yeah.
It is legal.
A year and a half ago, you bought your first house.
Uh-huh.
How many deals have you done?
Deals probably close to 100.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Probably close to 100 when you include wholesales, flips, and rentals. I would say more like 80 in the 80 to 85 range.
So what was that start date?
Year and a half ago. In September.
6 months, you've done 100 deals.
September, year and a half, 18 months. Yeah. Probably 85. I'd say I've done 60 at this point, 60 or so wholesales, and then another 20, 25 flips and rentals.
Wow.
So
That's insane.
mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
backing up to when you first listened to that Bigger Pockets podcast, you started reading books and stuff like that. Did you have the mindset of like, I can do this? Or were you still kind of like, I'm not sure if this is going to work for me, or what were you thinking at that time?
Yes, I definitely, I think that is the, how we've gotten to where we are. My wife and I, we talked about it. There's this saying, he's actually a writer, who I follow on Twitter. He's one of my favorite, but he always, like on Twitter, every morning he writes, bet on yourself today. And so honestly, that's something I've lived by, is like, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to go for it. And if we fail, we fail, but, I'm betting on myself. So we went all in.
I'm not sharing who that writer is.
His name's Serrano. So, he's honestly, his books are hilarious. He's not like a profound, like philosophical, like he's not a big, he's not even in real estate. He writes about rap and he writes about basketball.
Okay.
But two things that I love. So, but he's awesome. So if you do have a chance, check out Shea Serrano. Shea Serrano.
Okay.
He's hilarious.
Like
hilarious. Yeah.
Cool, so I mean, I kind of had a similar mindset when I got into it. Like I got to the point where I've been absorbing everything I can. And I'm like, as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm just going to burn the boats, not even look back at my old career in life, and just forge ahead, man. So, I mean, is that kind of where you were at too when you came back to St. Louis? And
part of moving back here was burning the boats in a way. We loved Colorado, had an amazing job, amazing group of friends, worked at an amazing church. But I also knew, like, to get to where we wanted to be, it wasn't going to happen in Colorado. And so that was part of it, was moving back here.
Is that because you just didn't think there was the same real estate opportunities out
there?
Oh
yeah. There wasn't, for what I wanted to do, which is build up, my end goal is to build up a bunch of long-term
Colorado's expensive real estate. So if you wanted to do 20% down on those, it would take you quite a while to do
it. It was going to, a 3-2 house that you're buying out there is going to be 450 plus. And that's not nice. You can buy, in some areas you're spending $1 million plus for a 1,200 square foot house.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's insane. Absolutely insane. I'm going to closer than
So you moved back and you had been talking to Sam. You knew him from before, Sam Prim, and he kind of gave you the opportunity with Faster House?
Yeah. So moved back. And again, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know my plan. I just wanted to buy a couple houses a year. Didn't even know Sam. We went to high school together, but we were Facebook friends. We talked a little bit, 12 years ago, but hadn't talked since then.
Sure.
Saw him post every once in a while something about real estate on his Facebook, and so I reached out to him and was like, "Hey, man, would love to meet up." And he responded back, yes, which even in that in of itself is amazing for somebody that does as many deals as he does. Some rando, that you haven't talked to in 12 years, asking to go to breakfast. Meeting up. And so side note, but anytime somebody asks for help, I'm all in, because that literally changed my life. That one breakfast, but sat down, had breakfast with him. He was like, yeah, we have 100 rentals. And he said, we're going to do 200 flips this year. 100 rentals. And it blew my mind that was even possible. And then he says, we've done all of this in 5 years. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to do whatever you're doing.
Yeah, you perked up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay.
Did that land, that conversation, did he like kind of tease a job to you a little bit when you were doing that, or later?
Not at all. That was back in, June or July of 2019. And so I hadn't bought a house at that point. That was the first time we talked in 12 years. So nothing, didn't talk about a job at all. I didn't even know what he was doing. I didn't know what wholesaling was. So it was really just a surface level conversation of like, hey, getting to know him and stuff. So,
so you're getting going, you got your first deal. I mean, what do you attribute, Cam? I mean, what's made you so successful in such a short time? I mean,
so for us, I think that the biggest thing is we've been really aggressive. I haven't let many deals pass through, and this is sorry. So this is on the rental side. On the rental side, for Lexi and I building our rental portfolio, we've been really, really aggressive. Any house that I see that works as a BRRRR that meets our criteria, I'm buying it.
By that mean, do you mean like you're just the first one to get out there and look at it, or you're going to come with a strong offer?
I think our offers are normally, we've made money on the BRRRR, burn out of every single one, but I think there's a lot of people that, they want to do one at a time, or they want to, and maybe this is wrong. This is probably wrong, so don't take this advice. But like, I buy the house and then figure out my lending. I buy the house and then we're if we have 5 projects going on at one time, we're staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning, working on them. And so we've always had multiple projects going on. And part of that is a lot of people, they want to slowly ramp up to that. Yes. That was not us at all. We bought our first one in September. We bought our second one in November from Dusty Sanders, and then I think in January we bought 3, and then I think in April we bought another 2, and then we bought a 6-pack and 2 more over the summer. And so it was just like there was never we just went for it,
So I have 2 questions right there. First off the bat, your wife was always on board with this?
Yeah, she's amazing. Amazing. She's trusted me. She's never once, been not on board. And not only that, she's been on board, but then she's also, she's done a majority of the work when it comes to, because like my full-time job is wholesaling. I'm out trying to find the properties. Yeah. And once we buy them, she's the one that's rehabbing the properties. She's the one that's hiring out crews for them. She's the one that's doing the scope of work. She's the one that's finding tenants for the property. So we're a great team.
She's equally as aggressive as you are.
Oh yeah. She loves it. She loves it. She wants to, she pushes me, and so it's an amazing partnership. We love it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You're blessed to have a great team with your wife. Me personally, it's been a slow process getting her on board with everything. And I see a lot of just one-man armies out there trying to do everything. And if that was you could not keep up with that pace,
No, and honestly, what makes it amazing for us, financially, is I think you couldn't do what we're doing as a one-person team. No. So a lot of people have to do a partnership where then you're splitting 50% of the profits. Well, for Lexi and I, we
all go to the same house.
Exactly. Yeah. But we're doing, we're able to have that. So it actually works out really, really, really well. We love it.
Well, the other question I have for you is like, you're talking about you bought 1 here, 3 there, 2 here. Mm-hmm. What was your goal, or what is your goal, or have your goals changed as far as like what you want your portfolio to look like?
Yes. So our goal for 2020, and honestly, we did it not as a joke, but we did it like the whole, 10X, like we were striving for more than we thought we could do. And our goal in 2020 was 20 homes. Yeah. And we ended up adding, I think we added 17 or 18 rentals, but then did another, 50 wholesales, and 2 flips. And so it was one of those things where it worked out better than we could ever imagine. Like 20 homes was like, it'd be awesome if we got 5 homes. I remember thinking that in my head as we were kind of planning that out. And did a lot more than that. So, and then our goals for 2021 is we want to do 5 flips. We want to do 25 rentals, and we want to do 60 wholesales. So that would be 85, that'd be 90 deals in 2021.
90 deals.
Can you talk a little bit about how important it is to have those goals and set them and track them? Is that something that's really crucial to what you're doing?
Oh, 100%. So I'm a firm believer. I read a book called Miracle Morning. And he talks through every morning looking at your goals, writing down your goals, visualizing your goals. And so it keeps you on track. It realigns, like everything that we're doing is for a specific purpose in this. And so I actually every morning and every night, sometimes I miss at night, but every morning I write down my 5 goals for the day, whether that's, as simple as, work out and eat healthy, or, something, just pretty easy goals.
These are the things that must be done.
Exactly. And then I write down 5 of my long-term goals. And the long-term goals are more of like 5-year out goals, where like my wife and I, one of our dreams is in the next 5 years is we want to own a vacation house in Hawaii. We love Hawaii. And so we want to have 100 plus cash flowing units. We want to own a multifamily, so I look at like kind of our 5-year goals too. And so that just kind of realigns everything. Like it kind of filters everything that you're doing through those goals. And when you look at them every day, you're on fire for them.
So yeah, I was going to ask you, is it more so like that's where I want to go? And I just want to remind myself of that, or is it more like I'm going to take a step today to get there?
I would say both. I was listening to, I don't know who it was. I was listening to a podcast and it was on goal setting, and he was talking about how he writes down his long-term and short-term goals every morning and every night. He's like 99% of the population will write down their goals on January 1st and won't revisit them till
give up a week later.
Yeah,
and then write down new goals.
Exactly. And he's like, I look at my goals. What's 365 times 2? 730. 730. He's like, I look at my goals 730 times a year. He's like, that just adds power to like when you're looking at those goals. And also, this sounds super out there. I'm a huge believer in like visualization.
That's not that at all.
So I read a study once, and it sounds crazy, but it was talking about teaching people a vertical, how to vertical. And so they had, for a month, they had people train every day, like, hey, here's how you jump higher. There's another group. They didn't train them at all. They had them sit there and visualize jumping higher. At the end of that month, the people that jumped higher were the people who visualized that they could jump higher than the people that were training. It boggled my mind.
Yeah, I have an anecdote on that. So actually, when I was in college at KU, I used to be able to like just grab the rim all the time, like in high school and stuff, and like I couldn't do it. We were playing basketball, and I could not do it. I was like, what the heck's going on? And so actually, this girl, she was in, I forget her major, but it was like some sort of science like that. And she's like, just visualize it. Like take like 10 minutes and visualize it. And so I took 2 or 3 minutes. I had to do it for 10. And then I grabbed the damn hoop.
It's insane. So I do that a lot, and it feels super weird because like I'm just sitting there like in the first couple times you feel, at least for me, I'm like, this is weird. This is really weird. Just sitting here visualizing me meeting all these goals. And but I'm a firm believer in it, and not to get too spiritual, but I even think like for me growing up in the church, the Bible talks about that, like in a way. And so I do a lot of visualizing in the morning. I've kind of got my morning routine. So and I don't want to like overdo it. Sometimes I sleep in, sometimes I hear
no, for sure.
So but I try to, for the most part.
It sounds like what that's doing. It's doing a lot of things, but it sounds like one of the things it's doing is it's providing a level of clarity to what you want, and then now you can attack that.
Yeah,
right? Because
100%.
now you can be aggressive towards an end goal. You can be aggressive all day long, but just running all kinds of different directions. Like unless you're focused.
100%.
You're going to hit those targets.
100%. I love it.
I just think so much of the population is busy making all the stories of why they can't achieve what they want to do and whatever life circumstances they're in. But I mean, if you're waking up every day and imagining yourself in Hawaii, like smelling the smell of the air, what it feels like. Oh, I just bought another house. Like,
no doubt about it.
You can see it.
Yeah,
right?
It's amazing. And again, like when I go out and buy a house, like I know it kind of realigns with, every time I do that, it realigns with like our vision of, hey, here's where we're going for. And it also helps on those nights, like right now, tax season, where it's insane and we're trying to figure stuff out and we're like pulling our hair out and why are we doing this? And it kind of helps like, realign a lot of that of like, hey, there's actually a reason. And another big thing that we do talking about tracking is we track our net worth. And that helps too, of like every once or twice a month, I sit down and I track our net worth. Cause a lot of times it feels like, you're taking baby steps. And then you look at it and you're like, oh my goodness, look at what's happened to it over the last year.
Let's talk about that a minute, because I mean, you've been showing some good examples of this, just the power of real estate and some of the refinancing you've been able to do already.
Yeah.
So I've been slow to come around to this net worth idea. I've always thought about buying rentals as I'm just looking at it for the cash flow, you know, but I've seen you and Sam and Lucas pull out massive cash out refinances and stuff like that. So how has that affected your life so far, tracking your net worth?
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. Tracking the net worth. So there's a guy, you know, I heard him, he said, you know, and he was actually talking about even longer term than this, but he said a lot of times you're going to do less than you think you can in the short term and more than you think you can in the long term.
That's what I've heard Tony Robbins say.
Has he said that too before?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that kind of happened for us. We did our first BRRRR, and we pulled out like $8,000 on it, which is amazing. I'm not complaining about that. And it was cash flowing $250. And that we finished with that last January was when and we were looking at that being like, it's $8,000. I mean, I'm happy with it, but it's not like life-changing money.
Sure.
Right.
And $250 a month, like that's like 1 or 2 date nights, you know, it's really not that much. I mean, like this isn't all it's cracked up to be, you know? But then tracking that throughout the year of like, okay, we've done that. Now we've done that 20 times and we've done way more than $8,000. And we have some of our, then you look at it and you're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
I think you shared with us, and I hope you don't mind me saying it, but like all the cash you pulled out on the refis was basically like your yearly salary, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we pulled out just on refis. I mean, we just had one refi where we pulled out $140,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
On what? Like a package deal?
It was a package deal, but we pulled out $140,000, which is tax free. So, and then the properties are still cash flowing about $200 a month.
Yeah, that's key there. It's cash or it's tax free.
Tax free, cash flowing.
Yeah.
You know, the properties are still going to be a tax, you know, write off, you know, so deductions. So it's amazing.
So what is your net worth, buddy? Year and a half in real estate. What year and a half in real estate? Where are you at? You said we could talk about anything, so
are you tracking like the equity you have in the property?
So I'm tracking. So when I track my net worth, I'm tracking equity I have in properties. Yeah. I'm tracking. I track everything. So I track how much money we have in the bank account. I have a couple stocks that I have that we have some money in. So I'm tracking everything. It's over $1 million and less than $2 million.
That's good. That's a good ballpark.
Right in the middle.
So is that mostly because of real estate?
Yes. We at the beginning of the year we were at 60,000.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So
that's amazing, man.
Yeah. And so part of that is all of our properties we've added, you know, almost every one of our properties we have at least 30, some 40 plus in equity in. And we have, you know, 20 plus of those. And then our refinances, like we pulled out 130, we pulled out 20 something on another one. So we've added through those. And then you know, there with the wholesaling thing was just kind of dropped into my lap. And that has been really, really great financially as well. And so, it all has to do with real estate, but definitely a bunch of different ways. And then, we did also just not real estate related, got really lucky on a, you know, back in March when the market crashed, we put in a bunch of money into the stock market and saw that go up. So yeah, it was a great year for us.
Nice job, man. Let's talk about buying houses a little bit.
Yeah.
Wholesaling and everything. So that's pretty much your day job, your active income, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been hearing from a lot of people, like somebody I was just texting with, like they're afraid to talk to people. They're afraid to talk to sellers. And like a lot of people that want to get in the game can't ever get over this hump.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you're kind of cutting your teeth. You're getting out there dealing with sellers. So, what's been working good for you? I mean, when you're in somebody's living room and convincing them to sell them your house.
So the biggest thing for me is I had to realize that I was helping the seller.
Yes.
If you go in there thinking that you're not helping the seller, that you're taking advantage of the seller, that you're doing X, Y, and Z to the seller, you're not going to get a deal done, because then you don't feel exactly. I truly do believe that, and you guys are too, but that I am, I do everything with as much integrity as possible, and so when I go into a house, I want it to be a win-win situation for me and for the seller. But I know just through doing the business not a long time, but from doing it a lot over the course of the last year,
right.
There's a lot of people that have no idea what to do with their house because they've had dogs and cats and smoked in it.
Termites.
And it's just, there's nothing they can do. And if they called up a rental company and said, hey, can you come out and clean up my property and renovate it to where I can list on the market, they're going to quote them some crazy $100,000+ bid, right. And they're going to be underwater on their house when they go to sell it. And so going in there and knowing like I'm doing what's best for the seller, and that gives me a lot of leverage. It gives me confidence, I guess, because I know that I'm not, I just know that I'm doing what's best for them. And then also I make a little bit of money.
So let's back up like 2 seconds there. So you said that you switch from like, I'm not helping the seller to I am helping the seller. What made that switch? I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Well, I guess what made that switch was when I realized, and actually I heard somebody talking about it, where he said the average price to fix up a kitchen is this is a mid-range kitchen is $20,000. The average price to redo a bathroom is $8,000. The average price to lay flooring is like $10 a square foot. And I started adding that up in my head. And the typical house that we do, you're going to need all of that. That's 28. It's 1,000 square feet. So you're looking at $50,000 just for that. So, and I know you guys know this, but to whoever's listening, so say you have a house that is worth $150,000 fixed up, and that person is going to have to put $50,000+ into it, and then list it, pay realtor fees, closing costs, X, Y, and Z. If we offer them $100,000 off the top of that $150,000 house, they're making more money doing that than actually putting the money into, and so that kind of is how I got past that, was when I just started learning the business more, I think that helped me a lot, is going in there, realizing that I'm helping them. And then I know that, which you guys are great at this too, but I know that like, I'm going to be, generally the most reliable wholesaler that they work with. I'm going to be the best wholesaler that they work with. I'm going to have the most integrity out of any wholesaler that they work with. Like, that gives me a little bit of confidence when I'm talking to them.
Being able to display that confidence is going to set you apart from anybody else coming through there. So,
So talk about that, because that is a key factor in presenting your offer to somebody, because you guys are going to close on that house, like bar some
weird deals,
some weird situations, right? Maybe it's a floodplain or something. But you guys if you write a contract, you're closing on it. And you guys have the capital to back that up. Yeah.
So if I write a contract on your house, I'm closing on your house. If we lose money, which I have a couple of houses I'm about to lose some money on. But if we lose money on it, we're going to lose money on it. Like I've seen too many times and had too many people call me that have went under contract with other wholesalers that the day before closing, they call them and say, hey, can't close on your property anymore. I can't imagine. And they're ready to move. They have a new house that they're closing on the next day, X, Y, and Z. And that's just not who we are. So when I write an offer, there's no contingencies. I walk it one time and I'm buying your house. Now, granted, there are some weird instances where there's foundation cracks. There's a pool that needs to be checked out. There's where I'll write a contingency. But that's few and far between. And when I do write a contingency, I'm very clear of like, hey, this is a contingency because we might back out of the contract. Exactly. So don't like don't set this in stone yet, you know? So I'm very clear when we do write a contingency of like, hey, there's a reason for this contingency. And there's been a couple times where we just haven't wanted the house, and I've written a contingency, and I've been very clear and upfront of like, I'm writing this contingency and I'm going to shop this to other people because I think that I have somebody in my network that will want to buy this house. I don't want it, but I think somebody will. So, but if I can't find anybody else to buy it, then I'm going to back out. And so there's been probably 3 or 4 times that I've done that in the last year, but I'm so upfront with them on that of like, I'm shopping this house, and if I can't find somebody to buy it, I'm backing out of the contract. And a lot of times they're cool with that because I'm honest.
Absolutely. That's the way to go. I feel like if you're going to write a contingency, or if you're going to do something like that, you got to let the seller know what to expect. And that's going to build up so much more trust with you than if you just try to hold things back, because they're going to sense that. 100%.
So, and that's worked great for me is being honest. And then I would say another overarching thing is, and this is just part of my personality of who I am, but I love people. I love talking to people. So when I go into a house, most of the time, it's 45 minutes before we even start talking about the house. Like I'm trying to find out like, what do you like? And let's talk about it. So, you know, looking around the house and seeing like hunting stuff or sports stuff or car stuff. And I'm just, I usually try and build up that rapport and camaraderie with whoever is.
But that's really natural for you, right?
Oh yeah. I love it. Like it's not work. It's not like hard for me. It's just, but I love that. I could sit and talk with people all day. That's why I love this job so much. But
so, I mean, this came up on our mastermind call today. We were talking about the
Camrons in our
the personality profile for the atypical house buyer acquisitionist, right?
Yeah,
the typical not atypical.
Yeah. But you were like the ideal profile for that. What was your disc? You're the high.
So it's a high I, and essentially what that means is I love people. Yeah. I love being around people. On the Enneagram, it's like I don't know, there's numbers on it. It's a 7. What's the Myers-Briggs? It's an E on the Myers-Briggs. But yeah, I just love to be around people. Love to talk to people. I could be around people 24/7.
I mean, I see a lot of people getting into the game. Like this is a person that is more comfortable working behind the computer and is more of an introvert. And it's like, you probably need to find somebody, a kid on your team that wants to go out and meet with people.
So I'll speak that because I am an introvert. Like my Myers-Briggs, I'm an introvert and all that stuff. But I do like people a lot. It's just I don't like big groups of people.
Okay.
So like I could do this all day long.
Yeah.
I can jive with you. Like this is great. You get like 2 more people in here. And
it's like, I'm
gonna sit down real quick.
Take Jake to a hockey game and he starts curling up in a ball.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, I was going to say something I forgot. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that is one of the top ways I've bought houses is just finding that common ground and being a people person. And then I've walked some houses with wholesalers. I've made this a commitment. I have never said one bad thing about a house. I've walked houses with other wholesalers that are like, this needs done and this needs done and this is really crappy. And they rip the house down. People are calling us because they know their house sucks. Yeah. They don't need us to tell them that it sucks, you know? And so I don't do that. I actually talk up the house and like, hey, this is
well, aren't
great.
They like, well, Cam, if you think it's so great, why is your offer this low?
Yeah, and I explain to him like, and usually that's just walking that fine line of like, even though, this is great, we would replace this, we would get new appliances. And so, and that's another thing too, is I've read a lot of books on just negotiation of like, we were just talking about the disc of like reading people's disc and how to sell to certain people, like how to sell to introverts, how to sell to the person who's got that domineering personality and let them think that they've won. And so,
what's your favorite negotiating book?
I'd Never Split the Difference, probably.
Yeah, I think too,
yeah, it's a great book. I know it's pretty generic. Even like How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I've never read that one. It's a classic.
Yeah. And then I'm reading one right now. Actually, I thought it was going to be more about like learning people. It's written by Malcolm Gladwell. It's called something. blanking on the name of it.
The new one that just came out?
New one that just came out. Yeah, I'm listening to. I said reading. I'm actually listening to it on audiobook.
Yeah.
But same thing. Some people don't include it as the same thing, but I'm listening to it on audiobook. So
I mean, you're still putting good information in your head, right?
Yeah.
So why is it a bad thing?
yeah. So but love them all, and it's been a blast. I love wholesaling. So
Well, what's your best advice for somebody that's just starting out, wants to build a rental portfolio, wants to wholesale? What do you tell those type of people?
Two things. One is your network is so important. There's that saying that look at the 5 people, the average of the 5 people around you, and that's where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And so having a good network, like we pay a lot of money for that mastermind. But that's because I'm talking to some of the best real estate investors in St. Louis. Probably everybody in that mastermind's in the top 1%, and so having a great network. But then the second thing would be, just from night, just do it. Like, I've heard, I think it was Brandon Turner who said the only people that he has seen not succeed in real estate are the people who don't do it.
Yeah.
And so that was big for Lexi and I of kind of just saying, hey, you know what? We're gonna do it. There's so many people that have that analysis paralysis where they want to learn so much before they jump in.
Yeah, they want to know all the how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know all the how now. I mean, I have no idea. There's so much stuff that I'm learning. Like, this is going to sound so stupid because people are going to be watching this. Like, I thought this guy knew what he was doing. I didn't know like 1099s and all the tax stuff that we're going through right now. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like sending 1099s to anybody that we paid over $600, and we've got literally hundreds of people that we have to do that to. And so like, I don't know the how, but we're figuring it out.
Well, that's a great point. So you don't have to be a jack of all trades and master of all. I mean, you can just kind of know your one thing that you're really good at, make a lot of money like you have, and then just kind of, your wife compliments you.
Yeah,
and I know you're hiring out other people, looking for other people to help that as well. So you build a team around your strengths, right?
Yeah.
You know how to get a great deal and figure out the rest as you go.
That is the goal. That's the goal. So, so I would say good network and literally just do it. Like if you want to get into real estate, get into it, make a deal.
So I wrote down some things here as you were talking here. So here's what seems like your formula is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like faith and mindset, your network, and you're aggressive.
Yes, 100%.
That's 3 things that you're doing.
That's perfect. That sums it up. I've never actually put that down, but that sums it up perfectly. Is faith and mindset, having a great network, because we have gotten into a group of amazing people, and then just doing it.
Yeah.
So
good stuff, Cam. I know we're running short on time. You got to get going somewhere else.
Cam's got to buy a house.
Hopefully go buy a house.
I am. I got to go buy a house today. Hopefully I get it. I'm headed there.
You will.
Right now. I think I will. I think I've actually already got it locked up. So I've already got a verbal on it. Just have to.
We got 5 minutes. Talk about that. How do you do it?
All right. So he sent me pictures of it and sent me the address. I ran comps on it, and comps are really strong on this property. And so essentially, if it needs less than $60,000 worth of work, which you can do a lot of stuff for $60,000, it's a deal for the number that he was asking. And he sent me pictures, and it does need a lot of work, but my numbers from pictures came to about $45,000.
Okay.
So I did tell him, like, I can't write a non-contingent offer until I actually step foot inside of it and look at it. But we verbally agreed on the price, and so right now I'm just going to go walk it, and if it doesn't need more work than $60,000, I'll buy it. So,
Nice.
So I think
it's from a seller or from another investor.
It's from another investor. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I love this guy. He was super honest with me. He called me and said, "Hey, I've got this property. I have it locked up for $30,000, and I'll sell it to you for a $5,000 assignment fee." He said that if you can't get that, then I'm gonna give it to shop it to other people. So I love that with wholesalers when he was just pretty straight up and honest. And so So we'll
It's a win for everybody, right?
What? It's a win-win. Yeah. So the seller, again, I was telling you this, I love this about real estate. The seller, he is from out of state. The house is destroyed. House is destroyed. He could not take it to the open market. So he reached out to a buddy of his who's also a wholesaler. So the wholesaler's friends with the seller, said, I want to get rid of this. I don't know anything on it. Just make me an offer so I can make a little bit of money. Yeah. So the wholesaler offered 30, reached out to me, has offered 35. So the seller's going to make 30, wholesaler's going to make 5. And then I don't know what I'm going to make yet, but hopefully I'll make,
nice bag of cash.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully I'll make, 10K on it or so. So,
sure.
So it's a good deal all around. Everybody wins. And then whoever buys it from me we probably won't rehab it. We'll probably honestly wholesale it again. Yeah. But whoever buys it from me will hopefully rehab it and make a lot of money on it too. Because it's, $100,000+ house. So
it's enough for everybody to eat. So.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thank you guys.
Go lock your lots.